Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious French toast casserole. What is French toast casserole? Or some people will call it French toast bake. What it is French toast, but only in casserole form. So your bread is crumbled up, you can have pecans in there or walnuts. We use pecans. And then you have your egg mixture poured over it, and then you bake it all at the same time. There's no individual frying or cooking. Everything's ready all at the same time. It's perfect for a crowd, perfect for holidays like Christmas and Easter when you have family visiting. And you can literally make it the night before, make it ahead of time, and get it out the next morning and put it in the oven and walk away. And breakfast is cooked. It has a cinnamon brown sugar crumble topping, and what I really love about it is that it only takes 4 simple steps to make this recipe. Before we do anything, we're going to go ahead and grease our baking dish. You can use any kind of casserole or baking dish as long as it's at least 9 by 13. You just want to give it a good spray. And then set that to the side, and we're going to go ahead and prep our bread. Now I'm using just plain old butter bread I picked up at the grocery store. You can use challah bread, is that how you say it? Challah bread. You can use sourdough bread, sourdough would work great. Any kind of those specialty breads that you could use, but you can just also use plain old regular bread, and that's what I'm doing.
Texas toast.
Oh, Texas toast. Yeah, that would work really great. So what we're going to do is just slice this into about 1-inch cubes. And I usually do a few slices at a time just to kind of make it go a little quicker. This is probably the most time consuming out of the whole casserole. And it's still not really that bad. Now I'm going to use the whole loaf of bread. That's about, my recipe says 20 ounces of bread, which is what this is. So use your best judgment. This is not a recipe that we make often, but we would make it more around the holiday season, around Easter, when we have company and need to feed a crowd. This is a great way to do that. It's a great way to enjoy French toast too when you don't feel like making actual French toast. I like it because when we are making French toast, a lot of times some of it will get cold before the rest of it is made. So before everybody has theirs, some of it's cold. So I like this casserole because we all get it at the same time. It'll tend to clump together a little bit, especially if you use regular bread. So you can just kind of break it apart with your fingers as you put it in the pan. So we've got all the bread sliced up. It's going to pretty much fill your casserole dish, so you want to use a larger casserole dish. If you're using a smaller one, you just might use a little less bread. So now we're going to add about a cup of pecans. Now sometimes I like to chop up the pecans a little bit more than they are in the store, but I don't think I'm going to for this because having the bigger pecans on there, it's not bad in this type of casserole. So I'm we're gonna put about a cup in the casserole. And take that and just sprinkle it on. They'll kind of work themselves down in. You can give it a little toss if you want to make sure they're mixed up in the bread. So you can just kind of toss it around. spread them out a little bit more. The pecans really give this a crunch. You don't even have to add the pecans if you're not a fan of nuts. I have family that doesn't like nuts in anything, so when I know we're getting together, I try not to put them in anything I'm making. All right, so we've got that prepped and ready to go. Now we're going to prep our egg mixture to pour over it. We're going to start by putting 2 cups of milk into our bowl or measuring cup or whichever you're using. So we've got a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. I'm going to put that in too. And then I'm going to go ahead and put vanilla extract and all of our seasonings in before we do the eggs. So we're going to do a tablespoon of vanilla. Let me grab a tablespoon. Oops. I'm going to be kind of sad when I run out of this vanilla. We're just going to have to go to Mexico and get more. Alright, so then we're going to do a teaspoon of salt. I have to look at my recipe because I can't remember what I put in. How much of everything I put in, I should say. So we're going to do a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so we're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Let me find my 1/4 teaspoon. There we go. And then we're going to do 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. All right. Now we're going to add in 8 eggs. Very important. This is what's going to help your casserole set up and give it flavor and texture, and it's going to just help it meld together really well. So we're going to do 8 eggs. Normally I would do these in a separate dish, but I'm going to live on the edge today. I say that because we have chickens. I don't think these aren't our chicken eggs, are they? Well, sometimes we use our own chicken eggs, and you never know what you're going to find. Really, you never know what you're going to find in the store-bought eggs either. I love having our own eggs, though. 7, yep, I'm on track. On track. Okay. 8. All right. As Zeke would say, all right. Okay, then you're just going to whisk that up. You can whisk it up with a mixer if you don't feel like doing it by hand. I'm just going to do it by hand. So you want to make sure that you get those eggs all beat up. Once you have it whisked up good, we're just going to add it to our bread in the pan. And this is where you want to try to pour it as evenly as you can over the whole thing, over the whole casserole. And that's why I suggest using a bowl with a spout so it's easily pourable. So I'm just going to kind of take it around. You want to make sure every piece of bread gets a little bit of liquid on it. And you know, if you end up with a few that are a little bit dry, that's okay. Because you're going to be likely covering it. We're going to put a topping on it, and then you're going to be putting maple syrup on it. So it's okay. Let's go over here and get these good. This one. Don't want to leave any of them out. Okay. Now at this point, you can go ahead and bake it, but I would recommend that you cover it and chill it overnight at least. Chilling it will give it time for the liquid to soak into the bread and for it to really soak up all those flavors. So I would recommend chilling either for a few hours or overnight, preferably overnight. So this is something that you could throw together the night before and then get up the next morning and throw it in the oven and breakfast is ready. So I'm going to go ahead and cover it with aluminum foil and we're going to chill it. I'm using aluminum foil because we're going to use this in the baking process too. So we're going to kill two birds with one stone. Alright, so we're going to chill this and we'll be back with it. Now we're going to mix up a topping. And without this topping, it's just not as good. So you got to make the topping. It's really easy. You're going to start by slicing really thinly 4 tablespoons of salted butter. Then we're going to add half a cup of light brown sugar. I'm going to get out a measuring cup. Firmly packed. And then you'll add in about, let me look, okay. Then you'll add in about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now you're just going to use a pastry blender. You could probably mix this up with a mixer too, but I just use Old Faithful. So, and you're going to get it to where you have a good mixture. It's not going to be really crumbly. In fact, it's going to be pretty moist. The butter and the brown sugar together make it a really moist crumble. So when you put it on, it's going to kind of clump. You're going to put little bitty clumps all over the casserole. But trust me, it's really good. Really, really, really good. This is kind of similar to a apple crumb pie topping. Kind of similar to that. And when you put it in right now the butter is cold, so, you know, like I said, it's a little bit clumpy. But when you put it in the oven, it all just kind of melts into the top of the French toast bake. It's just really, really, really good. Now you'll put this on right before you bake it. So you'll chill it the night before. You could go ahead and mix this up the night before, and then you'll just crumble it on right before you bake your casserole, which is what we're going to do right now because I think I have it pretty well mixed up. So I'm going to go get our casserole out of the fridge, and we will crumble our topping onto it. Okay, so we've chilled our casserole. Remember to save that foil because we're going to use that in the baking process. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of crumble or clump our topping all over. Just make sure you get it evenly spread out all over the casserole. This actually makes this casserole, in my opinion. I just love this topping. It just adds a little kick to it. So hopefully you have your oven heated up to 350. We're going to go ahead and put that foil back on. We're doing this because we don't want it to brown too quickly. We want it to cook all the way through. So we're going to cover it with foil, and we're going to bake it for a good 25 to 30 minutes. Then we're going to take off the foil, and we're going to bake it an additional 15 to 20 minutes. You can check the internal temperature with a thermometer. And what temperature should it be for eggs?
160, 165?
Yeah, 160, 165 should be a decent temperature. You can check with foodsafety.gov, I believe it is. That gives all the temperatures, but I can't remember on that for sure. Anyway, you want it to cook all the way through before it browns too quickly. So that's why we're going to cook it with foil at first. Then we'll pull the foil off and let it cook a little bit more and get golden on top. Now that our casserole is baked and it's out of the oven, we're ready to slice it and serve it. You can tell it's a beautiful slice. The steam is coming off of it. You got all the cinnamon and sugar melted into it. And then you can drizzle a little bit of syrup or sprinkle a little bit of powdered sugar on top. I really like a little bit of syrup. This casserole is one of my favorite sweet breakfast treats. I love French toast and pancakes. I'm just gonna try a little bite. It's so moist and delicious. It's the perfect weekend breakfast. If you enjoyed this recipe, give it a like or a thumbs up. And if you want to be notified when we create new videos, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.